Isn't just about the Game Pass price increases, by the way. That's only the tip of the iceberg when it comes to this story. I think that Microsoft is a threat to this industry, to their customers, and to the hobby as a whole. In most cases, I just try to give you guys my opinion on things. I don't really like to try to tell people how to spend their money, mostly because it's none of my business to begin with. But in this one rare case, I will say, if you care about this hobby, this is the last company that you want to be giving your money to. And that's not me being melodramatic. Let me make that clear. It wasn't until just recently that I realized just how absolutely disgusting some of their tactics have become and what their dream, what their vision for what gaming looks like in the future. What they're trying to make it look like in the future. I had my predictions, but this is way beyond my wildest imagination. With the price hikes that they had, that showed the direction that they were going in, but with some of their recent decisions, they just revealed their entire hand. I'm talking about jacking up hardware and game prices to be able to funnel more people towards their services and make them more reliant on those services. I'm talking about monetization schemes before you even boot up a game. Why have a battle pass just in a game when you could have a battle pass in real life? Why have ads in the menus when you could have ads in the games? And my favorite, why limit performance based on hardware when you could monetize that performance digitally? This is the world that Microsoft wants. Death by 1,000 cuts. You own nothing, and they are making everything. I'm not even talking about Xbox anymore. I'm removing these guys from the conversation because it's really pretty obvious by now that Daddy's the one that's running the show. So that's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about how Microsoft is a threat to the industry, and I want to talk about how they don't just want your money today, they want your money every day. This might be the first time that I sat down to talk about something, and I felt so much righteous indignation that I feel like I need to go throw some holy water on Microsoft's front door. We only just got done talking about how Xbox raised the prices on their hardware and accessories for the second time this year, with the Xbox Series X now reaching up to $800 and their so-called affordable Series S climbing up to $300.
It's $800?
$180 now reaching up.
Dude, at that point, just get a PC. What do you, like you can get a current decent PC for $1,000. Like, why would you buy a fancy one with a ball vise attached to it? Just get a PC.
Up to $800 and their so-called affordable Series S climbing up to $380. And now, in a totally unprecedented and completely unpredictable move, Microsoft waited all of but 2 weeks before announcing major changes to Game Pass. Changes that, for whatever reason, most people either haven't noticed or haven't realized just how destructive they really are. On October 1st, Microsoft put out a statement claiming that they had been listening to player feedback and that Xbox Game Pass was getting a much-needed upgrade.
Yeah, guys, we've been listening. We've listened to all your feedback, and we gave you guys exactly what you wanted. We upped the price on everything. Exactly what you wanted. I know as a consumer, sometimes you're confused about, the things that you prefer or numbers in general. So we decided bigger numbers are always better, and so we made these numbers bigger. Truly, this is just an inspiration to future business endeavors, and this will just have the customers flying in the door.
Was nothing more than a thinly veiled ad for cloud gaming and Ubisoft Plus classics, while console users were almost handed nothing of value. The biggest announcement that these guys made wasn't about features, it was about name swaps. Core to essential, standard to premium, just another layer of subliminal marketing designed to make the lowest common denominator feel like they're buying something of prestigious value. Guys, it's not the core experience anymore, it's the essential experience.
When are they going to figure out that by the nature of somebody playing on an Xbox, they're already offering that avenue to the company, right? They're already kind of giving up that they're on your platform. Why is that not enough? That's the crazy shit to me, is like all these practices, all these things are additional avenues of trying to milk additional funding from people that are going home and logging on to an Xbox to play games every day. It's like, bro, these are the people that, they're your customers. You should be trying to sell good products and sell them good things that want to keep them in the ecosystem. You just make it incredibly more expensive to be in the ecosystem and don't, add any genuine value to it. Like, what are we really doing?
Experience. And while they padded that announcement with almost
it sucks because the Xbox Game Pass was good. It was really fucking good. Everybody loved the Xbox Game Pass. I got it. We played Another Crab's Treasure on it. I got it just because being able to play, like occasionally it would get a good game on there, and being able to occasionally play a game on there was worth the value proposition. It was like what, $15, I think. And like, I played through the majority of Another Crab's Treasure. That was, to me, worth the value proposition of $15. So I was like, all right, well, I've kind of already gotten my value out of it just by beating this one game. A normal game of this caliber, I'll say like, it probably would have been $20 or $30 game. So like, it was good. It was a good value proposition. I continued subscribing to it for a couple months after that. They didn't actually end up adding any games to it that I appreciated, so I didn't want to continue paying for it. But still, I was a paying customer. Like, that proves that the price point and the concept is good. Because I'm like frugal as fuck. Yeah. Well, also known as being poor. Yeah, I guess it's not really being frugal if you just don't have the. Anyhow.
No meaningful changes. There was one tiny little detail that they had left out entirely: the price hike, something that players caught on to quickly on Twitter, pointing out that PC Game Pass was not mentioned despite saying every tier was getting upgraded. It will see a 40% increase, with nothing new being added, from $11.99 to $16.49 monthly. Game Pass can no longer be acquired with reward points, an unmentioned change. So Xbox Game Pass jacked up its pricing across the board, with Game Pass Ultimate now sitting at $29.99. The so-called best deal in gaming is now halfway to the price of a full game every single month, and people were rightfully furious outside of the dedicated dick eaters, but the backlash was so intense that it even caused Microsoft's membership site to crash just from the flood of cancellations. Now, none of this comes as a shock to me. You guys have heard me go after Game Pass.
Okay, I don't know what game this is, but this game looks so fucking boring. Like, I've been trying to, like, I don't know, it's just the whole, like, you literally have this big ass knife, and the whole game is you running around, just, you have a click, like, you click the mouse, you have a slash, like, it looks like you have a left slash and a right slash, like, animation, and that's basically everything. And he's been doing this, like, fucking, like, 7-minute boss fight where he's, like, trying to min-max the effectiveness of just this one little shitty weapon, and this, like, I don't know, this just seems boring. It sucks. The graphics look cool. Like, the game looks, you know, pretty cool, but the gameplay, yeah, what the hell?
The backlash was so intense that it even caused Microsoft's membership site to crash.
It's like, oh, and you got a sprint, right?
Just from the
and there's what, like a roll, like, right? There's like a dash or a roll too, I'm sure.
flood of cancellations. Now, none of this comes as a shock to me. You guys have heard me go after Game Pass and subscription models before. Microsoft has always wanted Xbox to become Netflix. This has been the plan since the Xbox 360 was the first home device to put Netflix on home TV screens. It's why the Xbox One was marketed as a TV box more than a console. It's why Game Pass was born in the first place. The model has always been the same: hook you in cheap. And
like, being fair, Microsoft's business approach, like their approach to this, I believe is the right approach. It's the, like, progressive approach to gaming, where they're trying to go to the cloud base. They're trying to get it all onto, like, a pass type system with, like, a monthly payment system built into it. This is probably the future of gaming, realistically. So, like, they're doing the right, they're going in the right direction. It's just that their price points are fucking stupid. You know, they got to stop with the crazy pricing, because they're just going to alienate their audience, which, you know, for the most part is just poor gamer dudes and dudettes or whatever. Like, for the most part. So, you know, when you crank up like $30 a month, that's definitely the point where I would suddenly be like, yeah, that's probably going to be one of the first things to go when I start looking for luxury expenses that are on top of, you know, that are not necessarily necessary, right? That's going to be one of the first fucking things to go, a $30 pass for games. But where it was at before, at, like, I think it was 15, that's not bad. That's like right around the Spotify range, right? I think Spotify is about 15 as well. And then I think YouTube Red or whatever, that's around the same neighborhood. Like, that's, to me, that's an acceptable pricing point for all the services. Like, I don't mind YouTube Red or whatever for $15 a month. If removing all the advertisements from YouTube, given that I listen to YouTube a lot, basically all night at work. And I play it during the stream for different types of music and stuff like that. So massive value proposition there. But $15 is pretty acceptably normal. And they doubled it.
And then year after year, crank up the price while locking more and more behind tiers. So it wasn't these changes that caught me off.
They're fucking up boiling the frog. Right? Like they're the frog was in the water and they didn't go, you know, they didn't go from fucking like low to medium, or you know, low to medium low. They put the frog in the water and they just clicked the thing to the highest temperature possible. The frog's freaking out, all right? Us froggos out here are freaking the fuck out. Like, bro, no, you just set it to 9, dude. That's, hey, you're supposed to, what? Like, this ain't working. Us frogs are a little more, but you know, we're paying a little more attention than that.
Guard. No, it was the subtle changes that nobody seemed to notice, and those changes made my stomach drop, not because of what they did, but because of what they're setting up for. During the announcement, I kept hearing these buzzwords: more value, exclusive features, extra rewards, and then right at the end, they casually slipped in Xbox Ultimate gives you our best quality and our shortest wait times for cloud gaming. And that's when it clicked. Oh no, here it comes. Look at the tiers. Their first one promises unlimited cloud gaming.
All right, yeah, let's look at some verbiage here. Okay, essential, premium, and ultimate. So right off rip, it looks like 75% of the games are going to be paywalled, where you're not even going to be able to access them unless you pay for the $30 a month plan.
The next says unlimited cloud gaming with our shortest wait times, and the last, unlimited cloud gaming with our best quality and shortest wait times. Now, on the surface, this sounds like meaningless fluff, but dig deeper and you find out what's actually happening.
That seems like a pretty easy way for them to be like, all right, well, you know, everybody that paid $30 can play it today, and everybody that didn't, y'all can play on Thursday. Yeah, if Thursday seems good. Fuck it, Friday. Fuck y'all. Fucking stupid poor people.
Hike is not about Game Pass. It's about carving up cloud gaming itself into speed and quality tiers. Now, while we've seen this kind of thing from Nvidia's streaming, Microsoft is far more influential, and they're now making you pay for more resolution, frame rate, and download priority. And if that wasn't dystopian enough, every single tier now dangles more rewards through their loyalty system, turning Game Pass itself into a battle pass of its own. Not only are they monetizing how you play, they're gamifying the act of actually playing games in the first place. Essential and Premium get you 10 to 17 megabits per second at 1080p, while Ultimate will jump you up to 27 megabits.
You can't even get 1440 with that. This is diabolical. What the fuck? You only get 1080p if you're on the $10 a month plan. If you want 1440, you gotta pay the fucking $30 a month. Absolutely insane.
Per second if you want 1440p, and on top of that, every single Game Pass tier now gives you a different amount of reward points depending on what you're actually paying for. And at first I thought it was really odd when that community note had said that Game Pass can no longer be acquired with reward points, but what I didn't realize was that Microsoft had already essentially turned Game Pass itself into a battle pass. Depending on what tier you have, you're getting daily reward points, quests for playing games, you can play games for 2 hours at a time every single week, and a bunch of other meaningless tasks. Those points can be redeemed for cosmetics, merch, gift cards, and before this change, you could renew your Game Pass subscription with them. Exactly like how Call of Duty, Fortnite, and Apex Legends were structured with their battle passes until those devs ripped out those features because players were getting the service for free.
Okay, this does look fucking cool, though.
Now, some of you guys are probably going to try to shrug this off, saying it's cloud gaming, a glorified reward system, but the point is, this is a canary in the coal mine. A
I wish they'd done more with
actually wants to happen to the future of this hobby. I've been
swinging
asking myself recently,
with
why has Microsoft been so casual about jacking up
boring.
prices and so aggressive about it, even though they're dead last in the console generation? Nintendo and Sony have outsold them 3-1, yet here we are with Xbox having the most expensive hardware on the market. They were the first to follow Nintendo's lead when Mario Kart World launched at $80. They raised their prices on their accessories. They briefly pulled back on the charge for $80 for...
Yeah, I mean, the gaming norm of $80 as the price point, it's just so disconnected with the audience. I think I have a very, very fucking hard time ever justifying $80 on a video game. Like, I don't like spending, like, I don't like spending more than 30. I think over 30 feels really bad. Like I got Mega Bonk today, but that was 10. You know, like $10 is very, I think it's fine. If I get a few days of bullshit out of this game, that's worth it.
Outer Worlds 2, but then they confirmed that next year those prices are still going to increase. And on top of that, they just recently announced their Asus ROG Xbox handheld, $600 for the base model, $1,000 for the high-end one. These are insane prices for a company that is bleeding money, yet they just keep doubling down.
They're like, we're not making any money. Quickly, make all our shit more expensive.
Going on? Well, with these changes to Game Pass prices, it all makes sense. Microsoft doesn't care if hardware or game ownership become unaffordable to the middle class and below. In fact, that's exactly what these guys are trying to do. They don't want you buying boxes or discs. They want you guys funneled into services like Game Pass and xCloud, because that's where they hold the keys and you own nothing. This is the exact same logic that is driving the housing market right now. Corporations are buying up entire neighborhoods. They're pricing them out of reach. They're waiting patiently. And
right. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, they set the price point on the actual physical copies to be very, very high, $80, and then they just have the affordable, reachable thing be a rental system, in which at the end of the day nobody actually owns anything.
they're just pushing people towards rental properties they own. Why let you buy and own anything when they can make way more money off of renting it back to you forever? That is the exact same model that Microsoft wants for gaming. This has been their plan all along. Consoles, physical games, hardware, hell, even Game Pass as we know it, none of these things have ever been Microsoft's endgame. Their bet has always been cloud gaming. Ownership in any form is like holy water to these guys, because the second that you own something, they lose control over how you access it, when you access it, and how they can monetize it. This entire thing, it started back with the Xbox One era, and none of us ever noticed. Microsoft was trying to fast forward this future by introducing DRM licenses to try to stop you from trading or reselling your games. Sony luckily humiliated them with their infamous how to share games ad. Microsoft backpedaled, but digital distribution solved that problem for them. And now the more that I look at where they're headed, how they're pricing cloud gaming, how they're gamifying the service itself, I don't even think these guys want you even downloading games anymore, because streaming gives them total control. Before you ask, no way, these guys are losing money. That doesn't even make any sense. My hometown, average house, it's in the Midwest, it's like $200,000 a home. I went home just recently. BlackRock bought an entire neighborhood and priced all of the houses between $700,000 and $800,000. These guys do not care about losing money right now. They will sit and wait patiently. They have all the money and all the time in the world. All they're trying to do is take away options. Microsoft is a company that is worth $4 trillion.
I would not be surprised if, I mean, if it just ends up being an overly wealthy area where people live. I don't know. It could have been somebody trying to set up an area for a bunch of family members or something like that. You know, somebody that's extremely wealthy in BlackRock was like, they wanted to buy a neighborhood to be able to have a neighborhood for their family kind of deal. That's my theory of what that is.
Do not care how long it takes for this plan to play out. They will wait. That's what's going to happen. How has nobody noticed that this entire Game Pass reward system program is literally just there to keep their retention and their player numbers up for their shareholders? Play a game for 2 hours every single week. I wonder why they want you to do that. I don't usually like this flavor of language because I think it's over.
Yeah, that's why so many games, the bare bone minimum thing to get shit is just logging in. That's why that's the lowest barrier to getting reward. And it's the most, the most common thing that they want you to do is just to log into the game for a second. It's to keep up their player metrics so that they can continue proposing to the investors that they have X player count. It's all about the investors. So sad that so much of the video gaming genre is in a down spiral just because of this core principle that when a game is brought to the drawing board, it's not about the merit or the quality of the game. It's not about the innovation of the concept. It's none of these things. It's whether or not it can be pitched to an audience of investors, people that are willing to put up the capital, to make the game. So like that's purely why what has stifled so much creativity and gaming innovation over the last, shit, I don't know, couple decades. Is just that because gaming requires so much capital, you have to go into it with investors, obviously, get loans and stuff. And if you can't convince, that's why you see, repeating game trends, repeating game type trends, right? When Fortnite dropped the freaking battle royale, a whole bunch of those games came out. That's why you'll see so many clones pop up whenever a good game comes out that does well. It's because it's easy to convince investors that this game type is working, right? There's use case. So that's basically what I, what it all comes back to, the main problem, which is why I think indie companies are becoming the last bastion of like real gaming. And I feel like most people, like even today, we're playing a fucking indie game, Mega Bonk. This is purely an example of how smaller games that are simpler just end up popping off and being really, really fucking fun. And it's like it has nothing to do with how much money was put into the game. It's just a good concept. It's a good concept, and it's a bit of an innovation on an already existing concept too. If you look at this game and like Vampire Survivors versus it's basically the same concept. They just added Z axis to it, which does add another element of gameplay for sure. There's also momentum. There's unit momentum and unit physics. There's a little bit of that in the earlier ones, but not nearly to the this one your character has like momentum and gravity and things. I'm just beginning to figure out how to slingshot the character around. But yeah, so like this game is doing well, and it's an innovation on an already existing concept. But it's also indie, and more and more often you see these indie games that are just popping off, and they really are like low overhead games. It's not surprising that you're seeing less and less companies investing and putting out big AAA gaming games anymore.
Used in hyperbolic, but this is straight up late stage capitalism. This is corporate.
Usually, most of these big gaming companies, they're not trying new AAA concepts, is what I meant by that. They're tripling down on already existing AAA gaming concepts. Right, you think most of these gaming companies have their like landmark games, and they're just going to keep on freaking milking these cows that they got because they're easy to convince their investors to on.
Authoritarianism is what it is. This is some straight up cyberpunk shit that we're looking at right now. I mean, if you take the time to think about it, Microsoft already has xCloud and Game Pass services on select smart TVs right now. If they get it on Sony's PlayStation, if they get it on Nintendo's hardware, next stop for these guys is not making hardware anymore. Then after that, what they're going to do is they're going to stop selling their games entirely.
Well, it's like this shit kind of correlates with the stuff with Nintendo too, where like I see this problem and I acknowledge immediately that there is going to be so much difficulty in doing anything about this problem because the bulk of the consumers for this product have no idea. Like they don't. A lot of the I theorize anyhow. It's the same thing as with Nintendo, where they are product chills. Where they're like anything that comes out, they'll just gobble it up. And it's like with Pokemon, Nintendo sort of stuff. Anytime they know that they can have a dick in the salad, right? They can have their dick in the salad, and and it's not going to be a problem because their dedicated fans are just they'll put up with it and kind of eat around it, and they'll probably bitch about it, but they will keep eating that salad despite there being a dick in it. That's basically what we're dealing with here, where they have so much of a established consumer base that will just plain old eat dick salad that there's nothing that there's not a lot we can do. I'm not gonna say there's nothing. I'm gonna put things on like this on blast, try and get the word out. It's the best things that I can do about it. Just try and publicize the shitty business practices that are taking place, and really put them on blast and contrast with the other comparable business partners or business practices.
Then they're going to stop letting you even download the games to begin with, and There you go. That's it. Now they got full control. No more piracy, no more ownership.
You have exceeded your allotted gaming for this month. Please insert $5 more to play more.
They can microtransact these games as much as they want before you even play them. They can sell you speeds, they can sell you queue times, they can sell you frames.
You have exceeded your allowed amount of time playing a video game for the day. If you'd like to upgrade to premium to unlock additional gaming time,
Frame rate, they can sell you resolution, whatever they want. While it's not going to happen right now, this is the plan for the future.
They're already selling resolution. Yeah, they're already selling that. It's right. What was it? You can only get 1080p if you're on the standard plan, and you unlock up to 1440 when you go to premium. So they're already resolution gating.
And I'm here to warn you about it. Luckily, we have options. We have a lot of other options. We have better options, much better options. Also,
Steam.
lucky for us, their games largely suck. And these guys are really hard pushing into AI right now. And that technology is in its infancy still, from my perspective, which is only going to come at a cost to the quality of their games.
Yeah, most of these big companies that are trying to implement AI right now, it is fucking stupid. AI is not there really yet for like major stuff. But I think it's key, and its main use is going to be for minor like time saving things. I think that like major gameplay stuff is going to be a bad idea, but removing monotonous tasks from your artists or whatever, I think that's going to be the best way to utilize it. Instead, they're going to be using like slop gen systems, and they're going to try and pump out games that are just going to be bad and have no soul and lack creativity. I don't know. I'm really concerned about that. It's just because everybody's thinking like, oh, AI business, from the business perspective, they're just thinking like AI good, oh my gosh, we could save so much money. And it's like, it's not there yet. You're at this point, if you're digging into it for like major content stuff, you're going to be pumping some slop. It's not there yet. Give it another year or two, probably a year.
Even more, but I think it's really important to send a clear message that we want to have nothing to do with this. If you have the option to have nothing to do with this, I highly recommend to have nothing to do with this, because if you guys think this is bad, you're gonna love what I have to say next.
I mean, I've had a very consistent view towards AI. It is somewhat nuanced, but I believe AI is a more complicated subject than people are affording the time to understand. AI has become a conglomerate statement, right? It's become like a lump bin for a lot of different things that you're seeing being practiced, right? You're talking about, you have generative AI, which is the artwork stuff that you see. You have like machine learning AI, which is the limited language modules that that you'll see. And these all have different incorporations and different uses. So it's like people just basically lump everything under AI and like, oh, AI bad. And it's like, no, obviously, generative artwork AI, yeah, awful. It's fucking awful. I don't know how people haven't just figured out like, hey, it's shitty to use artists' work and not credit them. And there's no way to build a generative artwork AI system without using a pre-existing, artwork. You need thousands and thousands, tens of thousands, if not more, of images to build the database, to build the pool. So, like, in order to create these systems, you have to steal. And that's stealing from content creators and not crediting. So like, you can't even use a artwork generator without stealing content. It's impossible, because they were designed by stealing content. That said, I think using the machine learning systems that do the artwork replication through AI, that sort of stuff can conceptually be applied to a lot of practices that will allow our artists to save a lot of time. I think the best example of that was brought up about, World of Warcraft using it to resize helmets. That's a great example, because it's a very on the on the nose thing where it's saving their artists time, which is going to allow them to do more stuff, do more good things with their time, to produce more things, to be creative. And maybe because they don't have to worry about resizing the helmet for 13 different races. Well, fuck, that freed up a whole nother asshole, right? Maybe 2 or 3 assholes. If you think about it, like how long it would take to go through and resize every designed helmet, for all of the different races, and have it look as like stuff like that's just good. And stuff like that is a great example of how the ways that we can use it to save time and to give more time to people to be creative. I never want to use this shit to stifle creativity. I think that's awful. But not using it to give our artists more opportunity to be creative is also bad, like stifling creativity. There's no reason why we shouldn't allow people to use it to their benefits when it's not, unethical.
If you ever want to know what the future of this industry looks like, the best place to check isn't what developers are saying or even what publishers are saying. It's what business analysts are pushing, because these guys are the ones with the connections to the guys at the top, and they don't give a damn about the players or the experience. All they care about is where the money goes. A few days ago, Push Square ran an article titled "Sony is a terrible company that's blowing it in the games business," says Michael Pachter. Now, if you guys don't know who Michael Pachter is, he's a business analyst for Wedbush Securities, one of the biggest wealth management and advisory firms in the country. He's built his entire career off of telling investors where to put their money, and right now his favorite company is Netflix, and that should tell you exactly where this is going. In the article, the writer Liam Croft quotes Pachter when talking about the recent investments into EA and whether or not Sony is worthy of investment, saying, no, Sony, for sure not. Sony is a terrible company. They're actually blowing it in the games business. Games are moving to Connect to TV, so think about the participants that are going to deliver the way we get movies via Netflix. Forget subscription models. Just think about iOS becoming your TV. So free-to-play games on your TV, who's going to deliver that? Cloud providers, AI. Now, Pachter never directly names Microsoft, but let's not kid ourselves. That's exactly who he's talking about. Outside of Amazon, they are the only player in the industry that's positioned in both of those markets, and they already have their game services connected to TVs. Besides that, Game Pass is already baked into some Amazon Fire Sticks, but the key detail here is the Netflix comparison and the direct-to-TV access. That's what investors are bullish on, and that's exactly the path that Microsoft is following right now, which means the next logical step, the most lucrative step, is obvious. xCloud and Game Pass will eventually be pivoting to free-to-play with ads. Not just subscriptions,
this is what I was saying earlier,
but
this is obviously
TV gaming. And
the
you don't
new
have
direction
to take
for
my word
gaming.
for it. Microsoft's own game CFO, Tim Stewart, has already said as much.
And I have no problems with it.
Back in 2023, The Verge ran an article titled
really
Microsoft Exec Hints at Free Ad-Supported Xbox Cloud Gaming, where Tom Warren wrote, Microsoft currently offers free access to Fortnite on Xbox Cloud Gaming service.
Because if it's a you own nothing system, it needs to be cheap. Right? Nobody's going to pay a lot of money for nothing, to own nothing, to walk away with nothing. People don't mind throwing a little bit of money, for the enjoyment, the entertainment, or whatever. Then they can justify that. But when you start feeling like you're you're spending a lot of money, and you don't actually get anything out of it, like you don't walk away with anything out of it,
Cloud, but there are signs that the company may offer free game streaming in exchange for ads. Microsoft Gaming CFO Tim Stewart hinted at the prospect in a Wells Fargo TMT Summit interviewed last month, spotted by Tweaktown. The vision that I like to talk about is we have xCloud game streaming, so you can subscribe to Game Pass Ultimate and you can stream hundreds of games to really any endpoint that has a browser experience, explained Stewart. For models like Africa or India or Southeast Asia, maybe places that aren't console first, you could say, hey, do you want to watch 30 seconds of ad and get 2 hours of game streaming? And this is when it all clicked for me, because I just recently saw Paul Tossi mention a comment that Game Pass in Brazil has doubled in price from 59.99 real a month to 120 real a month in a country where the average household per capita income is around 2,000 real. That makes Game Pass a wildly expensive luxury. Microsoft's plan isn't just to increase the prices in the US, it's to make the service completely unaffordable to lower income economies and then funnel those players into free ad-supported versions, test it there first, and then slowly but surely bring it to the West. South America, Africa, Southeast Asia, these regions do not have very many options. That's why piracy has always been so strong out there, but it also makes these guys the easiest
This guy reminds me of Nemesis from fucking Resident Evil.
targets for ad-driven gaming and free-to-play. Look at some of the most popular games that they play out there. If the choice is between no games at all or sitting through some ads for access, a lot of these players are going to tolerate that, and Microsoft knows it. Rolling it out in the West would just spark an open rebellion, so instead they're going after the most vulnerable audiences, pitching it as an act of generosity and ignoring the fact that they are the ones who engineered the problem in the first place. I know a lot of people are probably going to call me a conspiracy theorist, but I promise you this is only the beginning. Just look at what happened with TV and movies. We went from owning VHS tapes, DVDs, and Blu-rays to owning nothing but a screen and paying more than ever for 10 different subscription services, constantly upgrading just to be able to avoid ads. Technology moves so fast. This is the future that these guys are priming us for, and I can promise you it is coming sooner than anyone thinks. I don't know, man.
I think it just
only see this going
downhill
from here. Microsoft is one of the wealthiest, most influential companies on the planet. They have maintained an effective monopoly for years, buying out emerging competitors before they even had a chance. And gaming is nothing to these guys. Microsoft makes up just 8% of Microsoft's total revenue. That means this entire industry is basically just a guinea pig for them, a long-term play they can afford to just sit on and wait until they've cornered the market entirely. Every single move up until now, every acquisition, every strategy, it has all been building towards this one conclusion, turning games into a service-based hellscape, just like movies and television, where convenience turned into inconvenience, where cheap turned into expensive, and it's all being driven by the profits for the few. Anytime I think about these subscription services, all I can do is just think back to the blowback over Ubisoft's leadership saying that players need to get comfortable not owning their games, and Larian Studios' Sven Vinka warning the industry of the dangers of subscription services and what they pose to the industry, saying, whatever the future of gaming looks like, content will always be king, but it's going to be a lot harder to get good content if subscriptions become the dominant model and a select group gets to decide what goes to market and what not. Direct from developer to player is the way. Getting a board to okay a project fueled by idealism is almost impossible, and idealism needs room to exist, even if it can lead to disaster. Subscription models will always end up being a cost-benefit analysis exercise intended to maximize profit. There is nothing wrong with that, but it may not become a monopoly of subscription services. We are already all dependent on a select group of digital distribution platforms and
we are. I don't pay for any distribution platforms.
Discoverability is brutal. Should those platforms all switch to subscription?
Oh, well, okay, so I guess I use Steam, but Steam will never do anything like this.
It'll become savage. In such a world, by definition, the preference of subscription services will determine what games get made. Trust me, you really don't want that.
This is already happening. What do you mean, in such a world, by definition, the preference of the subscription model will determine what games get made? This already happens. This is already literally like, when you're selling to an investor right now, one of the main things that they want is a subscription model.
The reason I'm so passionate about this and why I'm making a warning and a big fuss out of something like this, while a lot of people are probably going to think it's a lot smaller than what it is because if their model and their plan succeeds, then it becomes the dominant model for the entire industry, because that's how these industries work. It's worked in movies and television. It'll work here just like any other piece of entertainment. It worked.
Has it worked, though? Has it worked in movies and entertainment? Because what I see in movies and entertainment is a whole bunch of companies that did try to do that, and they're now a whole bunch of failing companies. I mean, there's so many streaming platforms now. Paramount, HBO Max, there's crazy at Netflix, and like there's so many of these freaking ones. I don't pay for any of them. I'm sure that they have, audience bases that pay for them, but I don't think, and I think the main, people are mad that this is the style that that everything is going to as far as content. I'd say most people probably at best pay for one of them. I don't think anybody likes this though. Everybody's trying to find other ways to get content. And I think that's why YouTube is becoming as popular as it is. And these platforms are falling off so fucking hard, is because nobody wants to feel like they're stuck in that, this Gamepass-y, subscription-y kind of business practice. They don't want to be stuck in this loop. I know I don't. It bugs the fuck out of me if I know I have a game, like if I have a subscription and I don't feel like I've gotten value out of it for a month. That does bug the fuck out of me. It's genuinely money wasted.
In music as well, right? Most people don't own CDs anymore. Everybody just listens to their music on YouTube, or they listen to their music on Spotify, which also have advertising, and you have to pay to.
I mean, yeah, I pay for YouTube to remove the advertising. I don't think that's the same.
To not have that advertising there. That's just how this entire technology works. It's how these industries work.
I think most people are fine with paying to remove advertising. That's not really the problem.
And if subscription services, streaming services become the dominant model, it doesn't just go to, oh, I have to pay extra money. Oh, I don't get to own anything. It goes past that, and they start actually dictating what you do and don't receive so far as content, what content actually gets approved. We already see that with TV and movies specifically, right? Because look, it's a lot of these movies have the same actors,
both
the same tone,
dying
the
industries,
same writing, the same themes, the same politics. You're going to see that exact same thing in video games as well. The one thing that's working to our favor in all of this is that largely their games suck, Xbox specifically, but also AAA as a whole for the most part lately. They're all really pushing us towards indie and independent games. It's just, I don't know what it is, man. With some of these, it's not even some of these. It's almost all of these AAA games at this point.
People are just going towards indie.
Not there.
When
I just don't care.
And this is what customer base is going to do. When the product is super shitty, we're just going to go elsewhere. So, I mean, these companies want to bury themselves with this bullshit. As far as I'm concerned, go for it. Set your stupid price points. Kill your company. I don't care. I'm just gonna I'm gonna buy the good games that come out that are at a price point that are acceptable to me. If there comes a time where Game Pass comes back into affordability, I will come back to being a customer for your company too. But I don't know. I'm not too worried about it. That's why I'm not too fussed about the majority of these companies all going towards this shitty subscription model. Is because eventually the customers will come back around. They will see all this bullshit, and they will start just, being against it and not paying for it anymore. And when that happens, it'll change. And it's very obviously happening. People are catching on. They definitely do not like this model, and it sucks that everything's gone to it. I think if you were to look across the other, let's see. So this is kind of what I'm talking about, though. Every one of these companies is going to have a similar kind of trend, where it's like, during COVID, they had this massive like upswing, and then after COVID, they crash, and then they're like life support status until we'll say about 2025, and some of them are starting to figure it out. I mean, that's Warner Brothers Discovery in general, but HBO would fall under that. Same kind of thing, though, with the COVID spike into the downtrend and then life support. So Netflix actually is a bit of an anomaly. I'll have to look more into that, but this is the trend that I've seen across the majority of these platforms. Like Paramount followed it, Warner Bros. Follows it. What's another? Yep. Exact same thing. Oh, we've already been to. Okay, yeah, we already checked this one. AMC. Exact same thing. So I don't know. Let me do like one or two more. Yep, exact same thing. But all of these companies outside Netflix actually has an upswing going on. Since COVID, like they've figured it out, but the vast majority of these other streaming platforms hit an uptick during COVID, and then they've just barely been holding the fuck on ever since. Did we do Roku? No, Roku's owned by Amazon, right? Same thing. Here's COVID. And then life support ever since. I mean, I guess to be fair, they've kind of returned to where they were pre-COVID. Well, considerably lower than here though. But anyhow, just looking at them, the majority of these companies have followed this kind of trend, where I'm seeing that they're you know, they've been on life support ever since the downswing after COVID, and they're trying to figure out some kind of way to cling to, you know, to make money. And this has been the main one that we keep seeing is the subscription model. You know, I completely lost.
Or I don't know what it is. I think it's just they all feel the same, or they're
Sorry,
telling the
like
same
totally
story with the same
tangent.
gameplay. And it's just, I'm just tired of it. And that's working to our favor because that makes these services and their games a lot less interesting and us a lot less interested in them. You know, I saw one creator talk about this, and I think they were probably responding to IGN's coverage on it because they were saying Xbox is going to be known for greed. This entire generation is going to be known for greed. And they're right, at least in my eyes. But this creator was essentially alluding to the fact that it's not them that's the problem.
Yeah, it's not just Xbox. Nintendo's doing the same shit. All of them are. All the console companies just seem so fucking disconnected.
It's the system that's the problem, saying that it's capitalism that's broken and needs to be fixed. And from my perspective, you don't blame the tool, you blame the operator. And when I look out there and I see companies like Larian Studios that know how to make sure that they're looking out for both their best interests and our best interests at the exact same time, they do a damn good job at handling both and balancing both. They're not alone. That alone proves that it is not the car, it's the one that's driving it. And right now, the way those guys are driving that car, they're driving it into a wall with us in the passenger seat. I'll be honest with you, man, I can't keep up. This year is just, I can't be the only one that's noticed that this year has to be the greediest year we have ever seen in the games industry. I've never seen so many things with price changes, with monetization, with live service, with all of these different things. And while it's made for a lot of content, it just does not make things look good in the future. And I think now more than ever, it's never been more important. You make sure that you're giving your time, your money, your attention, all of it to the right people. So think about who they are. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video.
You gotta stop eating the dick salad. That's really what it is. You gotta stop giving these people your money when they do this crazy shit. It is fucking ridiculous. I'm not giving money to Nintendo. I haven't given money to Nintendo in quite some time, and I don't plan on it. It's been easy, mind you, because to be perfectly honest, I haven't seen anything that they've released in the fucking years that I gave two shits about. You know, another slop gen fucking Pokemon edition, like, oh boy. Another fucking Mario game, like, I don't know, man. They haven't done anything that was really having me throw my wallet at them anyway. So it wasn't very difficult to cut them off entirely. But yeah, just not giving them my money. That's how you do it. You just don't give them your money. And if enough people do it, they have to listen. But unfortunately, as long as people keep eating the dick salad, they're gonna keep on doing this shit.
If you guys did enjoy the video, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Comment down below. Let me know. Am I crazy? Am I not crazy? Am I the prophet? Don't call me that. Anyway, follow me on Twitch. Follow me on Twitter. I've been raving about this entire thing the entire time on Twitter. I'll catch you guys on stream, actually. Today should be Friday. Hope you guys show up. Peace. Wait, stay cool, stay righteous, stay safe. I'm sorry it's late. Peace. Family, 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 family.
All right, cool. It's a very good video. Definitely threw that dude an updoot, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet already. He brings up a lot of good points. Yeah, obviously the gaming industry is moving towards a subscription model. They're going to be trying to build a better mousetrap on that subscription model, and you should just be expecting all kinds of different dumb shit somewhere along the way. And you know, you gotta let them cook. You gotta let them. You gotta put your money away and let them cook. And when they do come to the table with a good deal, you do got to give them some freaking money. You know, be like, all right, this is a good deal. Good job. I'll buy this. You know, like you reward their good behavior with money, because as long as you're rewarding this bullshit with money, they're gonna keep doing it. You know, you're rewarding them for this behavior by allowing them to continue proving to the shareholders like, oh yeah, look, this you know, people are buying this shit. We have a whole bunch of subscribers. This shit works. It's a good system, see, because it's working. And you know, the investors are like, oh yeah, wow, yeah, it is working. Look at all those people that are paying for it. Wow, they must love that dick salad. I'm sorry, but it's a really apt analogy here. It really is, because it's just a self-imposed, you know, problem that consumers alone have the power to remove, to get rid of, but they, you know, they can't bring themselves to do it by just fucking not rewarding these people for their poor business practices. And a lot of it's like, I guess maybe it's helplessness. People just like, you know, they don't, oh fuck, you know, what else am I gonna do if they change the price tag? If you spent $800 on your Xbox and you don't have any games for it because, you know, you couldn't afford the games, and you know, you gotta pay for a fucking rental, an Xbox pass, to be able to play video games on your game system. And then they bump the price tag up on the subscription system. You know, make sure that you don't have enough money to actually invest in buying these these games long term. That's their goal. Like I said earlier, though, they crank the temp up on the frickin' frog way too quick. They skip to hot, man. You gotta slow cook that frog. You can't just suddenly crank it up.